Hey, good morning. Good morning. Today is Sunday, August 15th, and I realized that it's been almost 2 weeks since I did a video journal entry. Isn't that terrible? I had originally made a commitment to do these every day, and then they turned into every other day, and now I've gone like 13 days since. It's interesting how you can let something go one day, which makes it easier to not do it the next day. And what's even more interesting is every day at some point in time, I'm like, oh, I need to do this video journal entry. But there's always some excuse that I make in my head for why I can't go pick up my phone and turn it on, It's usually like, oh, I need to do this first, or, oh, it's late, the lights are off, I'm not dressed, and I'll do it tomorrow. So I've been making little excuses in my head. But today is a new day, and no longer making an excuse. I don't know that I really have that much to report, but other than I got something. Sorry. Had something on my lip. I think it was toothpaste. So the good thing is I do get up in the morning and bathe and brush my teeth. So that was proof of that. Let me do my MEPS check-in. Mentally, I think I'm pretty clear. Maybe I'm not clear. I've got some things on my mind. Got a bit of a headache, and I feel like it's a little bit of a stress headache. So mentally, emotionally, I'm pretty happy. Physically, feeling good physically. You can see I'm out here walking. So legs are working. Walking the grand pooch, Luna. Come on, Luna. And then spiritually, I am blessed. I'm prayed up this morning. I've done my morning Bible study. I have listened to a little praise and worship, and I read another chapter out of the book that I'm reading, Women Who Say Yes to God. It's a pretty good book. I can't say that the book is helping me to learn anything new. It's definitely a reminder of things to keep at the forefront of your mind, like don't worry, to be loving and kind and generous to others, not to be selfish, not to be arrogant, not to put your will ahead of God's will, always to be trusting in Him, and to know and to understand that as you make sacrifices in His name, that you are richly rewarded. And so as I think about that, that has been my truth for all my days. Also, reminds me to always to put my life in God's hands, and to remember that He's in control, and that while, He has equipped me with talents and abilities, that those are His gifts, and I shouldn't depend on my own abilities, my own strength, my own will, my own way to get through things, but rather to lean on Him for understanding, lean on Him for direction, because He will truly make my paths straight and lead me to the place where I was meant to go. Also am reminded that, everything that happens for a reason. And so it might not feel great. It might not be clear the direction that we're headed in. It might be that we find ourselves going in a place we didn't intend to go, didn't want to go, or we didn't get to go to where we wanted to go. But in the end, it's all good. And so that's definitely been my life. Like I used to tell people that from a career perspective, I ended up, being very successful in my career and kind of moving up the ladder in terms of leadership and management responsibilities over the years. And it's kind of like there was no ceiling, right? And so I made it far up the career ladder. I was very successful from a monetary, from a financial standpoint, but I felt like it was all accidental. Like, how did I end up here? And I do believe it's because God orders your steps and God prepares you for things and makes, puts you in circumstances to give you opportunities to learn and grow and to shine and to be able to perform and achieve even when you didn't know what you were doing or you didn't feel confident in your abilities. And sometimes I was in, hey, sometimes you gotta fake it to make it mode. But God always saw me through. And in most of my endeavors, I was successful. And even in cases where I might have taken on some responsibility where it really wasn't my strength, it didn't really fit what I knew, what I was passionate about, what I felt comfortable doing. But I think because I was willing to try and do the work anyway, I was, and I did it with a good attitude, and made that sacrifice, that personal sacrifice. I was always rewarded for that. So it's nice to have those reminders, because sometimes in life, if you're not consciously thinking about things that you should be doing, or that living a way that you believe is the best way to live, and it really is something that is directed by God. If you're not thinking about that all the time, sometimes you can forget and you can, get yourself caught up into other things. So like I said, even with this video, I'm not necessarily suggesting that, God wants me to do these videos and this is, how I can spread His word, His love. And I may be, but that's not what I really thought. I had intended to do this every day because this was my way of holding myself accountable for keeping track of how I was feeling, keeping my mental state in check, my emotional state in check, my physical and spiritual well-being in check, and to be able to have something that I can look back on to say, hey, where did I start versus where I am or where I ended up. And so, but it was just so easy for me to get caught up into into other things to where, I let a whole 10 days pass. And I didn't even think about it. I didn't even realize. Every day I was saying to myself, here's what I need to do, but I was letting it be okay not to do it. And I think that's the same thing that can happen, when you think about, should you go to church? Should you study the Bible? That types of things. Should you say your prayers? Should you have a spirit of gratitude? If you don't make a commitment to do those things, to honor God and to strengthen your relationship with God, you can just venture. It's easy to venture off the path. So for me, I just think there's value in being intentional, and so that's working for me. So anyway, that was the expounding upon my MEPS check-in. Like I said, mentally, I feel like I had some things on my mind. So I will share with you that yesterday I had a date. I'd like to say that I live my life happily single, making the best of life, even though I don't have a life partner, boyfriend, husband, but I'm content with where I am, but I also leave myself open to meeting people, and like if love is to come my way, I will leave the door open to find it. And I think you got to meet people and not be closed off, so I try not to be. So anyway, yesterday I had a date, and I was a little reluctant about it, but we were supposed to meet for lunch and then go to the movies. And I've been talking to this person on the phone for maybe a month or so. And, when we were first introduced, technology, right? I said, well, why don't we meet? Because my view is it's better just to meet people face to face and determine, whether or not when you meet people face to face, you can tell whether or not you have some type of connection. And it doesn't have to be a romantic connection, but, you're either going to be friends or more than friends, or, you'll just be acquaintances, or you won't be anything, right? It'll just be somebody that you met. But I don't like the, texting, doing like little chats and stuff like that, technical chats with people you don't really know. And I don't even know that, video chatting is okay, but I think it's just better to meet in person and to be able to just experience the whole person, right? Because when you talk on the phone or when you're just texting, you really only get a glimpse of that person, and you can't really make a real assessment. But anyway, I had suggested early on, it's like, oh, why don't we just meet for lunch, or I don't drink coffee, but I can still say meet up for coffee. They can drink coffee. And his response is like, oh, well, why don't we just, FaceTime or something? And so I just viewed that as him kind of saying, well, before I make the investment in time, right, and maybe even gas money to go and meet you, I will just see what I like on video first. And, then it's, oh wow, you're this or you're that. And so it's like I passed the test from a visual standpoint. But he doesn't seem to want to put the effort forward to actually meet in person. And no big deal. But he went out of town, I went out of town for a couple weeks, and when I come back, he said, oh, when can we meet in person? So we schedule a time to meet, and we're supposed to meet up on Wednesday because it just seemed like he always had stuff to do on the weekend. And I'm like, you know what? I work virtually, and I work according to my calendar. And I said, I have some time. So why don't we just meet up during the week? Because this person is retired, so has more time. I view has more time. So I'm like, let's just meet up during the week. Maybe we can go to lunch, whatever. We can figure it out. So we make plans for Wednesday. And I probably made this plan like a week in advance. And on Wednesday, we're supposed to meet at 11 to go to lunch. So at 10 after 10, I get a call and it's like, oh, what's the weather looking like out there? And I said, well, it's overcast. Now keep in mind, I had checked the weather early in the day and it wasn't supposed to rain or anything, or if it was going to rain, it was going to rain in the evening. But he called and it was overcast. And I just said, hey, it sounds like you'd like to reschedule. So if you want to reschedule, that's fine. And he's like, okay, well, how about we just meet up on Saturday? Saturday would be better because there'd be no time restrictions, blah, 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 blah. So I say, okay, that's fine. He's like, oh, well, let's meet early. So again, I said, why don't we just do the same thing? We can meet up at 11. And I said, I was thinking about going to the movies because I wanted to go see the movie Respect. And I'm like, so do you want to go? We could do lunch and see the movie. And the reason that I wanted it to be lunch and then the movie was because I don't really view going to the movies with somebody that you don't know as a real date or as a real opportunity to get to know somebody and connect, because you're spending your time looking at a movie and paying attention to that. So, and I also suggested 11 because he came back and he's like, oh, I completely forgot that I'm supposed to be doing such and such on Saturday evening, so it really does have to be early. And, I don't want to get caught in traffic and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. So 11 it is. And, I sent him the information for the movie time, and I sent him the restaurant and said, I'll meet you at 11. And he said, oh, I don't want to be late, so I'll probably get there at 10:30. I was like, listen, the place doesn't open till 11, so I'll meet you at 11. So yesterday, I went out in the morning, because, I got my morning routine. I pray, I read the Bible, I do some exercise, and so I actually went out for a bike ride early in the morning, and I ended up riding 25 miles, but in mile 20, I was literally riding past one of my friend's house, so I called and said, hey, I'm riding past your house. If you're home, I'll stop by and say hello. So I stopped by one of my friends, and we talked for probably like an hour. And, I looked up and I'm like, oh, shoot, it's almost 10 o'clock. And I'm thinking I have to be somewhere at 11 and I'm 5 miles from home. Let me hustle and get home. So I ride as fast as I can home, get home, take a shower, get dressed, get out the door, in enough time to make it there by 11 o'clock. And so at 11 o'clock, I haven't heard from him. I don't see him there. And so I text him, don't hear back. Wait a couple minutes. I call and say, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm running late. I'm about 20 minutes. I'll be there in about 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, so then I guess we're off for lunch because, I was basically saying 11 because we can eat, have a conversation, before making it over to the movies. And if he's not going to get there till like 11:30, then that would kind of mess up the time. So I didn't really or normally I wouldn't have had an issue with showing up late, but I was like, how are you going to tell me that you're going to come at 10:30 and you basically show up at 11:30? Like, am I really supposed to feel as though, you meeting me? And oh, by the way, that morning, like at 6:30 in the morning, I get a text like, oh, I'm really looking forward to see you. I'm like, you can't, I don't know. Is it just me? I'm like, I don't know. It bothered me. I thought, what you say and what you do, those things need to line up, right? And I just thought it was very inconsiderate. It's like, that you're meeting me somewhere, and granted, where you're meeting me, you're coming from a further distance, but I'm close to home. And if you're going to be 20 minutes late, you knew you were going to be late before. You knew you were going to be late when you left. So why you wouldn't just call me to let me know? I mean, the restaurant was like maybe 10 minutes from my house, not even. But I rushed to get there. And I really did not appreciate that he couldn't have given me a heads up, It's like I could have taken my time. I could have just said, call me when you think you're 15 minutes out and I'll just meet you up there, or let's just meet at 12 o'clock. So anyway, that I was like, that may be your strike 3. I mean, strike 1 was how long it took to actually get the thing, to get a time scheduled. Strike 2 was when we did get something scheduled, you canceled an hour before. And strike 3 is you show up when you do come, you show up 30 minutes late. And yeah, that, and so that was one thing. The other thing that was a struggle for me is, I'm 54 years old, and this person is retired, but they're not, I think he's like 61, and it just seems like, I don't know, me, if I was completely retired right now, I would just be traveling the world. I would be doing the same type of things that I'm doing, enjoying life, just living my best life, which I'm doing. So it wouldn't really be much different, but it just seems like he has this view of, I'm retired, and so I'm an old man, and I don't know, I just feel like mentally he's aged himself, and I just think age is just a number, and you're kind of no older than you think you are mentally. So for me, yes, I'm 54 in age, but that doesn't have anything to do with what I'm going to do, what I'm able to do, how I feel about myself, what I'm capable of doing, not capable of doing, those types of things. So it's just strange to me. And not that I want to be critical, and I apologize if I'm coming across as critical, because I truly believe that how I live my life versus how you live your life. How I live my life is my business. How you live your life is your business. You know, I pray for a good life for me. I pray for a good life for you. But your choices are your choices, and your mindset and your beliefs are yours. And, you know, the goals that you set for yourself, I would pray for you to achieve them. So I don't want to come across as condemning, but I guess just acknowledging that it's probably not a love connection. And not that I really thought that it was going to be a love connection, but it just makes me wonder, will a love connection come my way? I don't know. And if it does, if it doesn't, how do I feel about it? I sometimes think, I'm like, I don't know, I tell myself that I leave myself open to it, but am I really? And I kind of tell myself that I kind of want it, but then I question, do I really? I don't know. It's weird. So it's something I got to figure out for myself, because I don't think you can embrace what it is that you don't know that you want to accept into your life. I think that there's a part of me that has baggage that I need to get over, get past, let go, throw away in the dumpster. Because I do find myself thinking like, oh, okay, well, you said this or you said that, and that reminds me of this, and I didn't like that, so I can't go down that path. So I think that I need to figure out, you know, is there a fear that I have? Are there walls that I've put up that make it impossible for anyone to truly, from a romantic standpoint, get close to me? Is it that I haven't let go of the loving feeling that I had from the past, you know? Because I was in a relationship for a long time. Someone that I really loved, that I still love, but it just didn't go where I thought that it should have gone. And I think deep down, I'm still holding out, which is probably not fair to myself. So I got to figure out how to do that, how to let go. I'm so loyal. I don't, you know, it's like if you make a pledge, or if I make a pledge, I had a really hard time dropping it. So I need to figure that out for myself, because until I do, I think nobody will stand a chance. And yeah, I'm just gonna have to pray on that. I don't know. There's a reason for everything. Maybe it's not me. Maybe God wants me to wait. I don't know. We shall see. But that's my video journal for today. I've divulged what I had on my heart that I probably was reluctant to share, to articulate, to speak out loud. But that's that. I'm gonna go. Have a good day.